The date was June 22nd, 2019, and MS-13 would get started eliminating their rivals. Christian Ariel Aravala Arias, aka Sario, would lure 40-year-old Milton Beltran Lopez and his partner, Jario Mayorga, 39, into a remote wooded area off Featherstone Road in Woodbridge, Virginia, with the promise of a drug deal. Little did they know they were being led to a death chamber at the direction of Melvin Canales Saldana, aka Demente, the big homie, who had all the power. Lopez would have shots fired into his body, and his partner Mayorga would attempt to fight for his life, but that too would fail. Lopez would feel the knife and the pistol that took his last breath. Once the deed had been done, Demonte would reach out to Mario Guevara through WhatsApp, as the gang members falsely believed all messages through that app were unable to be tapped by the feds. Demonte would want details about the violence his crew had just inflicted, and would tell Guevara, also known as Blue, in what he thought was a coded language that the feds could not decipher to get rid of unspecified items. On June 22, 2019, Minerva, aka Astuto, messaged Guevara through WhatsApp and told Guevara to send him a report about the murder. His response was short and to the point. We killed 2 chavalas, in other words, 2 rival gang members. These reports were mandatory and recorded in notebooks by the gang. For the recent killings, the killer's status would improve. They would now rise in the ranks to what would be known as a chiquero, or so they thought. But Astuto wanted them to do more work. In order to reach that status as a member, they must engage in some significantly criminal activity on behalf of MS, usually at least one offing of a rival gang member, and a demonstration of loyalty by coming to the aid of or supporting an MS member. Astuto would tell Blue to burn the clothing they had worn and to pay attention to the news to see what was going on with the most recent havoc they had caused. Astuto was bent on violence, and he too had power, and threatened to beat the killers if they did not destroy the gun used to take the lives of Lopez and Mayorga. In order to rise in the ranks, Astuto told them that they had to do again what they had just done within 3 months to reach the status they so desired. The 2 that they just did was not good enough. They wanted more. With no real rivals, Demonte would order his people to hunt down whomever, and once they found them, to take their lives. On August 29, 2019, in Prince William County, Virginia, members and associates of MS, including Mr. Andrade, Manny, would arm themselves with firearms and knives and sought out an individual to finish off so that they could maintain and increase their positions within MS. It did not matter who the victim was. All that matters was that they unleashed their viciousness on someone. They wanted their status. Eric Tate was traveling to an apartment complex to meet a female friend on Bel Air Road in Woodbridge. The gangsters would roll up and unleash a barrage of bullets, sending 25-year-old Eric to the ground, where he would bleed out. His transgressions against the gang? Nothing. He was in the wrong place at the wrong time when MS was out hunting. Shortly after Eric took his last breath, there would be messages sent through WhatsApp again, asking if the members had done what was asked of them. Their response was, when the big homie sends them on a mission, they handle it. Finally, on August 31st, 2019, the Ruthlessness would gain their new status after a celebration at a park in Prince William County, Virginia. But it would not stop here. There was more to do, more violence to be committed in Virginia, Maryland, and even D.C. On September 24, 2019, Mr. Aguilera, aka Coy, traveled to the residence of Blue and Melina, aka Rhino, in Woodbridge, Virginia, and picked them up in his vehicle. They would drive through Washington, D.C., finding no chavalas or rivals to pop off on, and they would roll through Maryland and then back to Virginia. Before long, they were in the vicinity of an apartment complex on Chesapeake Drive in Dumfries, and decided with no real rivals around, they still had to eat. There they found 37-year-old Antonio Smith leaving a 7-Eleven store and filled him with 6 shots. As he was being shot, he would ask the perpetrators why they were shooting him. He had no issues with anyone, but on this day, Setios Locos Salvatruchas members had a problem with him for no other reason besides moving up in rank. Police sirens would light up the sky and pierce the air as calls came in about numerous shots being fired. In a panic, the crew would flee to Fredericksburg, Virginia, and get new clothes at Walmart. They would tuck themselves into a Motel 6 for the night. With all the violence, the feds would be called in, and piece by piece, they were learning that this was not random acts, but acts ordered by Melvin Canales Saldana, who has the Setios Locos Salvatrucha clique second in command in the United States. He had the power to order those below him to do as he wished, almost as if he was a puppeteer. In this world, the puppets were real-life humans, And though Melvin, Mr. Diamante, wanted to stay hidden, it would not be long before the feds would zero in on him. But he wasn't just ordering violence on rivals and innocent people. He was also at the helm of making money in the drug business, after funds were sent from El Salvador to get started. With Diamante in charge, the gang's cocaine trafficking operation was simple, organized, and effective according to the feds. MS-13 members and associates would regularly travel to New York, where they would obtain cocaine, which they referred to as product or semi-gloss, from Minerva, aka Astuto. They would transport the cocaine to Northern Virginia, where it would be divvied up among other MS-13 gang members for retail distribution. Money generated from the sales would be collected and used to purchase more, and weapons, and anything else that STLS members may have required. But now it was all over. The feds had their case, and they had their man. Diamante would be arrested along with other members of the clique. The trial would come soon, and some of the members wanted to avoid dying in prison. Guevara, or Blue, would plead guilty and be sentenced to 5 life terms for 3 counts of murder, tampering with a witness by killing, and racketeering conspiracy. But he would agree to testify against his former gang associates in the hopes his sentence would be reduced. But what judge, even in light of his cooperation, would reduce the sentence of a man who was part of such murders on innocent victims? As the boss and other Confederates looked on, his friend would walk out of a back room in the federal courthouse to take the stand wearing prison garb. He would swear in, affirming that he would tell the truth, so help him God, as if he ever believed in God. He would outline the truth after spending months preparing for his testimony at the U.S. Attorney's Office. While Blue helped seal the fate of innocent victims in Virginia, he now would help seal the fate of his crew, including the big homie, Mr. Diamante. While looking at the jury filled with güeros, he would claim when Milton Lopez arrived on that fateful hot summer day with another man, Mayorga, his MS-13 crew decided to kill them both. Neither man could leave. Blue testified that Tarcillo was first to shoot Milton, and that when he did, Herrero screamed when he heard the gunshot and began to run away. But he collapsed after being shot as well. He then recalled the role he played in the killings, testifying that he shot Milton 3 times, and that when Herrero got up off the ground and attempted to flee, he shot him twice until he collapsed again. Blue recalled that Arevalo then stabbed and shot Milton before they all sped away from the scene in a car, while celebrating the kills by throwing gang signs. Never did they think about the fact that their lives would end too on that day. It was just going to take some time for the feds to end it in a federal courtroom. Blue would outline the inner workings of MS, telling prosecutors and the jurors that MS-13 code required members to kill other members of rival gangs, known as chavalas, in order to work their way up the ranks. He would also outline what prosecutors were learning about MS-13, that members desperate for promotions will turn to targeting random people with no ties to gangs and pass the victims off as rival gang members to trick their superiors into promoting them. When it came to testifying about Antonio Smith, Blue would testify, "I shot him in the back." That was the first shot, and with the second one, he fell to the ground. He started screaming at us not to do it. He was saying in English, "Oh my God," and in Spanish, "Amigo, amigo." He also said, "Stop, stop." Abner Molina, also known as Rhino, another former MS-13 member, would plead guilty to 2 murders and a racketeering conspiracy. He too took a similar deal to Blue and took the stand to outline his interactions as a member in hopes to not die in prison. He testified that he was with Andrade, Arevalo, and William Cabrera, another MS-13 member, on August 29, 2019. When they went out hunting, they would spot Eric Tate, 25, walking along Bel Air Road in Woodbridge. Molina claimed Arevalo had an instinct. Eric was a rival gang member and shot him from behind before Andrade fired more shots. He said Eric then drew a gun and started firing toward the air as he was agonizing on the ground in pain. But although he was ordered to shoot Eric, Molina claimed he wasn't convinced he was a rival. "I'd never seen that person before, and I knew he had nothing to do with being a rival gang member," he testified. Prosecutors decided not to seek the death penalty in this case, leaving some residents in Virginia to wonder why. Others were angered. They wanted the ultimate penalty. It would not take the jury long to convict the members of the senseless crimes that they had committed. But defense attorney Lana Manita would argue that Melvin Saldana should not be sentenced to life for ordering the killings of innocent people or those that were alleged to be rival gang members. She would say her client never ordered his people to kill innocent people, just other gang members. She would tell the judge, although Mr. Canales repeatedly warned clique members to do things right, he didn't go out patrolling himself. He nonetheless answered to at least one superior within his clique and to the gang leaders in El Salvador, where his family, including 2 young daughters, still live. What is doing the right thing? Is it okay to take the lives if they are rival gang members. Lena would attempt to paint a picture of a poverty-stricken child who became a gang member because he had no choice. Federal Judge Lena Brinkema would have none of it and ordered Melvin, a.k.a. Demonte, to die in prison as she banged her gavel, imposing a life sentence. Boy, these boys decided, man, we're going to ride through D.C., but we ain't going to pick no one over here. It might have got dangerous if they picked some people in D.C., right? Imagine them rolling up on a couple dudes on a block in D.C. Yeah, it probably would have got real dangerous on both sides. But anyway, how do you think this thing is really going to pan out in the end? Do you think the judge is going to bring this cat back in blue and rhino and say, I'm going to take your life sentence and give you, 20 years since you came in and testified? This is the type of case that's not going to happen. MS is all over the news, violent, destroying, communities. I mean, this is the narrative that's being put out. Obviously, you can't ride around and, kill rival gang members or innocent people. They unload on this kid Smith, man, walking home from the store, man. Like, wow. Are you shocked that they didn't give out the death penalty? But this is how it works, right? The government brings them cats in. Blue outlines the case. They already have enough stuff. But Blue kind of fills in a lot of the blanks. He testifies in front of the jury, and they're like, we're going to give you a deal, man. We're going to recommend to the judge that they reduce your sentence. Yeah, okay. Yeah, right now they're friends with you because they need, your information. But when it comes to resentencing, they're not going to stand up and say, look, Blue's turned his life around. Although he killed numerous people and innocent people, he's turned his life around, Judge. We don't want to see Blue go to jail for 50 years. Okay, they might recommend that he gets 75 years. Hey, we did what we said we'd do. We recommended no life. Yeah, but you're 30 years old, so 75 years plus 30. Yeah, you do the math. You'll be about, 105? Yeah, pretty much you got a life sentence anyway. But what do you think should have happened here? Do you think they should have sought the death penalty in this case? People were pissed off about this, right? Really angry. Taxpayers like, yo, man, these are the type of cats that the death penalty was implemented for. Anyway, leave a comment. Let me know what you think, man. Hope you like this one. It's a short one, but it's a good one. Blood on the Razor Wire TV. Until tomorrow, we're out.